Good evening, gamers, and welcome to another exciting interview. Tonight, I have the pleasure of being joined by Martin Ouellet, uh, my friend from the Great White North, and the man behind Headcheese Productions. Welcome to the show, Martin. I'm excited to have you on.
Hey, what's up, Dave? I think you're the first person to say my name correctly, so that's a big first time.
Victory. I told you,
Very
I,
happy to be here with you.
I told you I'd get the name right.
Yeah, you kept your promise. You nailed it.
so, I guess what we can start talking about is what I've got pulled up on my other screen over here.
Yeah.
Is the baby I'm waiting for to arrive in the mail in the next couple of days is
Uh,
Crime Fighting Luchadores.
Yeah, it's my first full-fledged game. Everything in there is from my own. It's not a hack. It's not a supplement. It's my first full-fledged game. I've created many solo games before, smaller games, but this is my first real game book and game zine, and I'm really proud about it. The artwork turned out to be amazing. The art is by Evelyn Moreau, and she did an amazing job. And Brian Shutter from Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland, which you know, and is a good friend of yours too.
Yep.
And you're sporting the hat right now. He did the layout because you know he's great at it, and everything is looking sharp. And I'm really excited to people to start getting it in the mail and having their impressions. But people have seen it so far; they really dig it.
I dig it. I think it is such a cool concept. And how did it how did this get in your head? And then it's
Well, I play a lot of grim dark stuff and cyberpunk and Mercbory and all these very dark games, and I like horror, so I write a lot of dark stuff myself. But I was tired of it a bit, and I said, why don't I make something that's just fun, something where you're heroes. You're not a miserable loser, somebody in a terrible world where all the odds are pitted against you, and you're gonna die a miserable way, like in Call of Cthulhu. I was in need of something where we could have fun, we could be amazing, and we could bash monsters. And I started thinking about what excited me when I was a teenager, and Ultraman, the wrestling movies, and all of this, and everything I love has monsters in it. So it's all come. I combined all these things in my mind and was like, yeah, I want to make a game about superpowered wrestlers, luchadors, who fight monsters and evil in a sort of cartoonish way, inspired by Batman and Batman '66 with Adam West that I used to watch every night after school. And there's some Scooby Doo in there, and the Venture Brothers, and of course El Santo movies, Blue Demon movies, and I kind of mixed all that, and I made a game with everything I find fun.
well, it
So
shows.
in hopes that other people might think it was fun too, and I really wasn't sure how people were going to react to it, but so far people seem to to be very amused by it, as I am. And the artwork is really giving it so much life, and it's already a small universe of its own.
It's amazing. Like, and one of my favorite things about it, and we were talking about this through chat, I think it was last night,
Yeah.
is your dice mechanic. How did
Mm.
you come up with that mechanic? And can you explain it to folks out there that are watching?
Yeah. Uh, I'm really into I'm not gonna say minimalistic rules, but I'm really digging lightweight rules light games, because like many people, I went back to playing RPGs regularly during the pandemic, and I had to distract my friends, and I wanted to introduce them to role-playing games, but I knew that if I was gonna present to them a huge 300 pages book to read and chock full of dice, they were gonna look at me like, no, that's not for me. So I look, I start looking for the games that were rules light, but add fun thematic. So I made them try like tiny D6 and the variants. I had them play Into the Odd and the fantastic variant by Mike Evans. It was called Death is the New Pink. And I played that for 2 years with a group. All the players were girls, and we played it like a Mad Max Tank Girl. It was super fun, and now they're into role-playing games, and I invented a whole new campaign for them. So for me, I don't like when the game master has to check rules in the books during games and all that. I like games when you can improvise and where it's fast moving, and you know, the action dictates what comes next. And I also love to question the players and have them contribute to the universe and answer questions so they can contribute to what's going on. So and of course, what the only sort of dice that everybody has laying around in their house are D6s. Everybody has those. Yeah, they don't have to look. I take the D8, and they're like, which one is it again? So that's and I was one of the influences was Monster of the Week. But Monster of the Week is a bit too abstract for my taste. I don't like combat that get resolved in only one or two throwing up the dice. So, and especially in a game about wrestling. So I beefed up the combat system to include special moves, and I also love the currency mechanics from Tricube Tales. The in Tricube Tales, depending on what the thematic is, but you have like karma points, and you have resolve points, and sometimes you have a resource points or resource tokens. So that inspired me. I like the in-game currency, the fact that you can spend some currency to accomplish certain special actions, or to automatically succeed when it's important, or to do an heroic to create an heroic moment for your character. So I kept the resolve points, but I created the hero points instead, that you can use during crucial moments, final fight against the super beast, the final boss in each episode. And yeah, so, and also I wanted to create a type of action where all the players are involved and act at the same time. So that I named it the Royal Rumble move, and you can only do it once per episode, per scenario, and so you have to keep it for the big final fight against the super beast. And it's always a blast at the table, of course, when everybody's you have to collect clues and spend a certain amount of clues and hero points. So thematically, that represent your heroes are investigating the threat, the nature of the threat, and the more they learn about the enemy, the more they learn about his weaknesses and how they can attack him effectively. So when you everybody has enough currency to do the Royal Rumble move, everybody is having fun and cheering at the table. It's so yeah. So So it's a basic 2d6 system where you had any bonus you have in a specific stat. I kept it low with 3 attributes only. So there's muscle, athletics, and mind. So there's brains, I named it. So it's really simple.
Nice.
And the more points you put in athletics, this gives you a special move. So every point you invest in athletics gives you access to a new power move that your wrestler can do a single number of time, so a certain amount of time.
So you said that was muscle that does that?
No, that's athletics.
Athletics. Okay.
Yeah. Muscle dictates when you attack normally, you do just a kick and punches, and also the amount of damage you inflict when you hit an enemy. And athletics is reserved for special moves and also dodging. So yeah, because of course Lucha Libre has these super acrobatic moves, flying from the third rope and all of this. So I want to reflect that in a certain way. You have these very brutish, very big wrestler, and you also have the smaller ones that are super athletics and do a lot of athletics feats, and I want to reflect that.
Nice. Well, I think you've done a great job of doing it. And speaking of their athletics, it is insane to watch. Like
Oh
Lucha
yeah,
Libre. Um,
yeah,
I watched this movie not too long ago about Lucha Libre and a couple of the other luchador leagues.
yeah.
And it's just, man, being almost 50 myself, it made me ache so bad watching those movies. And I'm like, God, those guys are insane. It's almost like a lower parkour mixed with wrestling. And
Exactly.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
So,
well, it's called lucha libre for a reason. There's very few moves that are yeah, it's almost anything goes, and it's more brutal in many ways, and also much more spectacular to watch. They're incredible. Yeah.
yeah, they definitely
Well,
make a spectacle of it. It's,
yeah, and of course it's incredible because of the mask and the costumes and the persona. It's super theatrical, and what made wrestling so cool in the 80s and the 90s is that they had these big personas, these characters that you were rooting for or you were hating, and the drama was as much as fascinating as the wrestling itself. And I think it's American wrestling has lost a bit of that magic, but lucha libre another world completely.
yeah, I wish we could had a way to bring some of it up on screen and talk about it and not get the channel shut down because it would be so fun to let people that aren't familiar with it just see how bonkers it is.
Absolutely, and the American public is more aware of it. Also, it's bleeding into American culture more and more. Yeah, more matches are presented and crossovers against American wrestling and Mexican wrestlers, and I think it will become more prominent in the future. Certainly,
I hope so. That would be really cool if it
so
does.
do I.
um, One of the things that you had mentioned when you were talking about the mechanics is liking to get the players more involved by it. It almost sounds like making it a group narrative. Um,
Absolutely.
Simon Gingras just asked what was the name of the movie you saw. And
Oh.
unfortunately, I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. I'm going to make a
Was it
note.
a recent movie or an old movies?
It was done within the last 3 or 4 years, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to make a note, Simon,
Yeah, I want
and
to know too.
I will see what the movie was, and I will post it either in the description or in the comments. So we'll get it figured out so everybody can check it out.
Yeah, because
So
now we'll be asking ourselves that question until you answer.
I'm going to be responsible for madness if I don't get back to it soon.
Exactly. We'll be sleep deprived because of you.
So can you explain how both fumbles and critical successes work in the game?
Yeah, that's also pretty basic. When you roll snake eyes, w- uh, we ignore if you have a bonus or not. Then you get a fumble, and basically you take double damage, or the referee can have the complication if you do it outside of a wrestling match or a combat. Then the referee decides of a penalty. Something bad has happened to you. You break your weapon. You've made too much noise, and uh, reinforcements arrive, or think of a complication. Had something to complicate the situation for the players. And well, of course, doing a critical does the opposite. And doing critical hit, getting a critical success gives you a hero point. So the hero points are in currency that you can spend to get another to add a dice to your dice roll. So instead of rolling two dice for an action that you really want to succeed at, then you roll three dice. So that's great. So, but they don't regenerate. You have to win them. Certain archetypes of luchadors get more at the beginning of the character creation, and the other way to get more in game is when you roll a critical success.
All right. Yeah, that was pretty basic. So,
Yeah.
um, let me see here. There were a couple more questions I have, and then there's another project you've got coming up that I want to jump into.
Sure.
Um, we are going to do later on as we go along, we're going to build
Yeah.
a character for Crime Fighting Luchadores. So you want to stick
Your
around for that.
character.
Yeah, my character. That's true
Yeah,
because
because
we've
we're
got a
gonna be
game
playing
coming up.
together. We're gonna be playtesting together my new adventure module. That's gonna be included in the first expansion, the first supplement book that's gonna come up later this year, or maybe at the start of the new year, depending. But it's gonna include two adventure, two new luchador archetypes, and a lot more random tables, and also magic wrestling masks and all that stuff. But there's going to be two adventure, one that I've played many times and I'm quite sure about, and the other one that I'm writing at the moment. It's almost finished, and you're going to be one of the playtesters. So we're going to create your character together. It's going to be quite fun, and people will also see how the creating system it works, and what's a luchador.
Excellent. Uh, so one thing I've got to know is I know we've talked about this, but for the world, who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Oh, a favorite wrestler in the lucha libre. Well,
Well,
I
of all time, like ever since you were a little guy, who's been your favorite? If you had to pick one, or can't you?
um, Well, I'll have to go for Macho Man. Macho
Nice.
Man it was the greatest. He
Lord
really was.
Randy.
Yeah, Lord Randy. He was everything. He was a great character. He was a super wrestler. He was so fun to watch, and some of them were made famous because they had a certain body type or certain look. Macho Man, he really had the skills to match. He really was a great wrestler, and I think, yeah, he's not been surpassed in my mind.
No, there hasn't been anyone since him.
no.
like him
But
since then. There.
yeah, exactly. But I have to say, right now I'm quite fond of Mammy Rhea Ripley. She's something else. She's fucking awesome. She's very powerful wrestler. She's so fun to, and she has a great persona. And she plays the lead like nobody's business, and she's so fun to watch. So yeah, I like her at the moment, but I'm not as yeah, I was very involved. I was very involved in wrestling as a young man, as many of us were during the golden era of
Yep.
the yeah. So when it became all about drawing blood and creating this insane death match and also yeah, it was less about skill and more about being gruesome, which was fun for a moment, but it got quickly it got tiresome real quick, and
Yeah.
also a bit sad because these guys they're real persons and they have to mutilate themselves to create a show. It's yeah, you feel I don't feel good watching that.
No.
No, wrestling is already a dangerous sport as it is, and a lot of the wrestlers injure themselves very often, and they have to when they retire, they have enduring pain that injuries that won't go away. So no need to add on top of that. I think.
No, those guys are dropping each other on plywood. Those mats are not
Yeah,
soft.
no, no, and the baseball bats are wrapped in barbed wire and the broken glass and all that crap. It's a bit too much for my taste.
Yeah. Well, like look at the Hell in the Cell match with Mankind and
Yeah,
Undertaker way back in
yeah,
the day. That
yeah.
was just
Mankind, he was
nuts.
yeah, Mankind, he was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of it was entertaining, but afterwards you feel kind of dirty for liking it, and you're like, oh man, these poor guys, what they have to go through for us to get a show. It's not right.
No. Nope.
And like we talked earlier, I'm more about acrobatics, fun wrestling moves. That's the spectacular part, and that yeah, we know it's choreographed, but it's an art that they're so it's still dangerous even though it's choreographed, and it's so much more spectacular than people just bashing each other on the head until the one bleeds too much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I definitely know that a certain amount of it is not uh authentic, I
Yeah,
guess would be the way to say it.
yeah.
But dude, they still get messed up, it's
Yeah, imagine if it weren't choreographed in advance. I mean, their career would last 2 weeks. They'd fight 3 times, and they will leave in a wheelchair. You don't do a backbreaker and pile drivers without having practiced it before, and it's still dangerous. Even though I mean, wrestlers have died. The wrestlers have injured themselves permanently in the ring, even though it's choreographed and the winner is determined in advance. It doesn't mean it's not a sport. It doesn't mean it's not a great accomplishment.
no. We got Joey in the house, Joey Royale.
Hey, Joey.
He says two awesome dudes talking about awesome stuff, and then he said Jimmy Snuka was never the same after that coconut hit.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
and
Uh,
yeah. Oh, dude, that was
yeah,
nasty.
yeah, and you know, we watch a guy died also. I mean,
Yeah, God.
yeah, and I was watching live, and as most of you were, I guess. I mean, it was unbelievable. After that, you have to wake up and say, well, this is going way too far. He wasn't comfortable with the stunt. He was forced into it, and he paid with his life, leaving his wife and his kids behind for our entertainment. And this is not this shouldn't be part of the show. It's not necessary. He was an awesome athlete to watch fight, and he had a great career ahead of him, and he was robbed of that.
He certainly was.
Yeah,
My boy Tesley's in the house. What's up, my man? Um, yeah, like it's so funny though, because like you were saying, when we were kids, it was completely different.
yeah.
It was just like, you know, it was so over the top and
Yeah, it was
so
the theatrical was done in a more candid way. Maybe I don't know. It was all it was spectacular, but it was over the top. But it was not about arming people or putting them in the hospital.
no,
Yeah, if you've seen I don't know if you've watched the series, The Dark Side of the Ring.
I have not. I'm gonna write that one
Man, it's
down
a
too.
tough watch. I watch it with my girlfriend. She knows about nothing, almost nothing about wrestling, but she loves the show. It's super interesting, but we're crying half of the time. I mean, it's drama after drama. Guys get caught in, taking too much dope, steroids, or they get badly injured. They get involved with crime stuff, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's really bad, and it was out of control during these years, and many have paid with their lives. So it had to be uh, there had to be some no I'm looking for my words. I'm not I'm speaking English, and it's not my first
regulation.
language, but yeah, and also there had to be some pushback, like, wait, this is
Yeah,
going too far. This is going too far. What we're asking from these guys, yeah, it's insane, and it drives them insane. Chris Benoit also, what happened to him is
oh
it's horrible,
yeah,
and
with his
I mean, yeah, you get the most terrible mix, concussions after concussions, usage of steroids and cocaine, and I don't, and you almost never sleep. You're always on tour. You're always fighting. I think it's Chris Benoit. It says in the Dark Side of the Ring, uh, his wife gave birth at the hospital. He stayed for the for the birth of his child, and like 5 minutes later, he's like, "Okay, I got a match. I gotta go." And he was gone like that, and so it's insane. They were pushed to the limits, and some of them broke.
yeah. And I mean, look at how many of them are dying young of
Exactly.
from like the injuries, and then like you were saying, the drug and alcohol use, and then after they retired, they were getting addicted to painkillers because they needed so many of them
Yeah.
just to function.
Yeah, it's a super addictive stuff, of course. So yeah, and also when wrestling is all you know, you have no other plan for your retirement. This is the only thing you can do, the only thing you know how to do, and what's left after that?
Yeah.
So, very few of these guys are actually wealthy. They don't make a lot of money. Some superstars do, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. The other guys, they barely make a living.
Yep. And everybody thinks they make like $1 million, $2 million a year, and they don't. Like,
Yeah,
I saw that. I'm trying to think of who it was they interviewed, and he said that when he first started, might have been Jake the Snake, and he was saying when he first started, he would make like $15 a fight, or something
imagine.
like that. And it's like,
Imagine putting your health at risk every night for $15. So what's that? And never seeing your family because you're always on the road, and it's crazy.
it is.
Uh,
Tesla asked what your first language is.
French. I live in Montreal. I'm a Quebecer, so I speak French. I was raised in French, but now I write mostly in English because that's what the gaming language is. But yeah, I speak French at home.
Yep. And he's my neighbor, technically. I mean,
Yeah,
at least the way the distances in Canada and Maine work, it's like
it's true.
you're basically like my next door neighbor.
Absolutely.
Oh, gosh. So, with the archetypes, we're kind of jumping all over the place. I always do
Yeah.
this, but I want to go
Well,
back to
it's
the,
more of a conversation form than
yeah,
a formal interview, and
yeah. Like,
I'm okay with it if you are.
yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, I prefer the conversation over, I get really rigid if I just try to ask questions and I'll be sitting here like, how do you like this? And
Yeah, no,
it's,
we don't want that.
no. Um, But the archetypes, you had started talking about them, and then we went down the rabbit hole of wrestling, which we can go
Yeah.
back down. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
happened to look over at my screen, and which of the archetypes is your absolute favorite?
Oh, I can pick one.
Oh.
I mean, they when I play alone, I have created a solo version because I'm a huge solo play. I play RPGs by myself all the time, for many reasons. I always play test RPGs before I act as a game master in a new system I'm trying. I always play alone to I create a character. I try a few fight. I explore the system a bit. So of course, when I created Crime Fighting Luchadores, I had to do a solo version because I enjoy it and I know a lot of other players do. So I when I play alone, I generally take somebody who's more of a brutish type, somebody who hits hard. But it's fun when you play with a group to have a variety of the different types, so you can face different situations. But I like the beast quite a bit. He has mutation and he has to hide his deformities from. So we go back to the monster. So he's a bit of a heroic monster, like Hellboy, which is one of my favorite heroes. So the Beast is one I like very much. And there's also the Human Tornado that I really enjoy. And I put some of them also just for fun and to I kind of think I thought about what are the archetypes in role playing games and try to adapt it to wrestling. So instead of a bard, you have a mariachi. So he is the charming guy, and you pick your the instrument that you play, and you can a certain amount of times each day you can play your instrument and automatically charm somebody or persuade somebody just with your charming personality. So that's kind of the bard in the Crime Fighting Luchadores. And I'm quite excited about the two new archetypes that we're creating right now. They're one of them is the Cosmic Luchador, and he's gonna be a type of a mystic, so somebody who gets his clues during dream, a bit like Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks. So he's got these really weird dreams where he get hints of what's happening and how to resolve the mysteries he's investigating in dreams or very weird visions. And there's going to be the Lucha Borg, who's half man and half robot. So yeah, I love it all.
The
I
Lucha
love it all.
Borg.
Yeah,
I love that one.
yeah,
uh, um, so another thing that I thought was really neat, instead of, and it's a pretty good sized table too, is the asset generator.
yeah.
Um, can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, of course. In by assets, assets are they include everything from gear to uh, furniture for your safe house, or a vehicle of, or a spying device, or anything that could help you during your investigation, or that could help your character in fight, or it could be anything from a forensic kit, a motorbike, a special cape that you wear in the ring, and soon there will be a list of unique luchador masks, which have special powers. And I have guests who I have invited some people to each write a different mask, and some of the ones I've received so far are really fun. So it's not assets are gear, but not only gear. They could be gear. They represent anything that's useful to your character, be it during the investigation phase, or during the resting phase, or during the fight. So
Nice.
that includes gear, and also a special type of a set is allies or contacts that you can have, that you can visit between investigation scene to interrogate, or to get some hints from, or to collect clues from. Yeah.
So one thing you've brought up several times um, is investigation and clues. How does that
Yeah.
play into the game?
Well, of course, if luchadors, crime fighting luchadors was just about wrestlers fighting wrestling matches,
Mhm.
it would get repetitive quite fast. And also, I wanted to incorporate the mysteries that are very important in luchadors movie. They're quite ludicrous mysteries, and you can have fun with them, of course. Eh, uh, the investigation part doesn't need to be super serious. It's also kind of cartoony, but or the Scooby-Doo mysteries. So I wanted to represent these moments where the characters don't know exactly what kind of threat they're facing, and also I wanted the character to investigate so they can gain clues to use against the big bad at the end of the episode. So the more clues you collect, the stronger you will be against the super beast. So it serves also mechanical purpose. So you are pushed to investigate in order to collect the clues that you need to, among other things, use your Royal Rumble moves. And yeah, so and having an investigation to conduct also pushes your character to move around in town, go to different places. You change sceneries, and you could play with the mysteries, the spy tropes. So I thought that was kind of fun, and it's also a part of the of so many serials. Also, Batman had that. He has to find some clues, and he has to go back to the Batcave and analyze those clues, and come up with a ludicrous gadget, or the ludicrous explanation. He understands exactly what's happening by a piece of fabric he found on the on the floor of the bank, or something like that. And I want to reflect that because it's part of the genre, I think.
Man, we're gonna have so much fun play testing. I cannot wait.
Yeah, the scenario is called Mascara contra Mascara, because it's a type of match. You have it means it's a match opposing two masked wrestler. Because when the wrestlers don't wear a mask, they're called cavalera, I think, which means a hair. So yeah, sometimes you have cavalera against a mascara, and sometimes it's mascara contra mascara. So that's the name of scenario. So that should give you an hint about what's waiting for you.
Nice.
So, yeah.
The blue demon's waiting on the other side for us. That's
No, not quite.
um oh, see, there we go. I told you I lose my train of thought sometimes. I got to rewind in my head here a little bit and see if it comes back. Oh, the spy trope that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Alls I could picture was this like El Santo in a suit when you said that,
Yes,
like,
this
you
is
know.
so much fun. Yeah, I love it when you know, he's surrounded by scientists and the president or the mayor, and they're in some kind of lab, and he's Santo is in his suit and he's smoking a pipe, and they're all listening to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I've invented the device to time travel, but I'm not sure how safe it is to use. Oh, come on, Santo, please share your inventions." It's so fun. I love it. It's so it doesn't try to justify the weird or the
No.
fantastic, or no, you go with it. It's like that. Everybody knows Sento is the best at everything, and everybody knows more than scientists. He fights better than anybody else. He's unstoppable, and he never shows his face, of course, and everybody comes for him when there's trouble. It's you have to accept that. It's part of the fun.
Yeah. It's like before there was a world's most interesting man alive, there was El Santo,
Oh
and
yeah,
then, and it's
absolutely,
like,
absolutely.
because he would be that guy in the ads back then of like on a jet ski with the beautiful woman at his side and like, I only drink this or that or
Yeah.
whatever, and it would,
And it's also he's also very 007, except the the ridiculous aspect of it is more accent due to the fact that he's a masked wrestler, but it's all the same tropes that James Bond, you know,
Mhm.
the fast sport car, the beautiful ladies. He's the best at everything he does, and he's always the only one who can save the world, and it's all the same, except you don't take it as seriously because he's in a wrestler's mask.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
the only difference. It's all the same tropes
yeah, but it's just that,
with more monsters, which we
yeah.
love.
But it's just that over the top awesomeness with those movies, it's just you
Yeah.
can't help but be, if you're not entertained by those movies, I feel like you got to check your pulse a little bit,
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
you have. Yeah, absolutely. Now they try to make everything realistic, even when at first when they started adapting superheroes to the big screen, and they did the X-Men all dressed in black leather and
oh,
super serious and all that. And it's like, no, if you go with superheroes, they have to be out of this world. They have to look unique, weird, and unapologetic. They're superheroes. They don't have to be realistic. There's nothing realistic about it. Please have fun with it. It's not serious. I
yep.
don't know why everything has. They said, "Oh, Batman worked, so everything has to be dark and broody, and music is super bombastic or sad, and that all that." And now after Guardians of the Galaxy, some of them started to realize that, oh no, okay, we can have have fun. After all, Thor, he flies guided by a fucking hammer. He goes over the rainbow to Valhalla. There's nothing serious about that. Please have fun with it. Why does it have to be so broody? It doesn't make sense to me.
And that that tone is everywhere now. And
Absolutely.
it's like, dude, stop. You
Even
know, it's
the James Bond also. I have nothing against Daniel Craig. Is an awesome actor, but he's more like Bourne. He's not James Bond anymore. He has to be cheesy.
yep.
James Bond has to be cheesy and has to be tongue in cheek. Now he's always getting tortured. Everybody dies around him, and he's super. He falls in love with a lady. She gets killed, and everything is super dark. He's more like a Jason Bourne than 007. I don't
Yeah.
know what they're gonna do with the next one, but uh, they're not necessarily bad movies, but it doesn't feel like James Bond anymore. It feels like it's just a espionage thriller.
Yeah. Like back when it was Connery and oh, I just lost his name. It was,
Roger Moore.
yes, Roger Moore, and
Yeah,
then Timothy Dalton.
yeah,
They were always those, they'd be driving and they'd be like, how are we going to get out of this? And Bond would give him that look and hit the button in the car. The rocket would pop up out of the back and it would go
yeah.
flying down the road.
Because
And
we're not scared as an audience. We're not scared. We know that James Bond's not gonna die. We know he's gonna get out of trouble. He's James Bond. He is invincible. So why try to make it look like he's in danger? We know he's not really in danger. He has a plot armor. He's James
yeah,
Bond.
exactly. And it's like, back when there were like the characters like Jaws that were in the Bond movies, they were so unbelievable, but
Yeah,
you bought into it kind of like the El Santo movies
yeah.
because it was the story worked.
Yeah,
And
it's not the real world. It's the world of James Bond. The villains are cartoony. They have scars and metal teeth, and they're weird. They look like villains. They are cartoon characters put on screen. And James Bond also is a cartoon character, just like Indiana Jones was in the first movies. We don't want to see. I don't want to see Indiana Jones get married and have kids and get old. No, Indiana Jones. He's an adventure guy. He's invincible, and he's always cracking jokes in the middle of terrifying situation. He's not acting normally. He's not one of us. We don't go to James Bond because we identify with him. We go to James Bond because he's fucking awesome. He does everything we can't do, and
yeah,
that's what made him fun. We don't want a realistic James Bond. That's no fun.
well, there's no escapism to it.
Exactly.
It's like, and that's the whole point. Like, I, the, like, the last movie I saw that really made me laugh my ass off was Barbie.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've
I've not
seen
seen
that.
it yet. No, but I intend to. I will see it for sure. It looks super fun. I'm all for that.
Yeah, like it was the first movie that I was like, dude, this thing is going to be pure escapism. I'm going that I've gone to in like 3 years because everything, I go to the movies to escape the real world,
Yeah,
not go and sit through 2 hours of it, but being
uh,
thrust in my
yeah.
face.
There's the news for that.
Yeah,
If I want
exactly.
to if I want to think about how the world is terrible and how and think about everything that worries me, I turn on the news. I don't go to the movies. I want to go to the movies to be told extraordinary stories to be entertained, and then also to be to go into other worlds, to go into other realities, not mine. I'm tired of mine. It's boring as fuck.
Yeah, it's like
That's why
exactly.
we
That's
create games. That's why we love comic books, and that's why we love fantasy and science fiction and everything. We want to dream other worlds. whatever form of it, of art or entertainment you like. I don't like realism. I don't. I want to be. I want to be told new stories, not
Yeah.
stories I've heard hundreds of times.
Yep. And yeah, that's like the big thing. Like you said, that's a big thing with games. And like looking at Crime Fighting Luchadores, in my head, I picture like bright, like the Vegas lights type thing of like you'd see when El Santo is driving down the strip of like the lights and everything flashing off
Yeah,
to the side.
yeah.
And random thought of luchadors. What is the band that's all luchadors? I cannot.
It's low straight jackets.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, they play surf music. It's very super fun. Yeah, they're great.
Yep, they are
Yeah.
fantastic.
By the way, Joey, he was in the chat earlier. He created the soundtrack for playing Crime Fighting Luchadors, and you can find it on under Lord Blood Crime Fighting Luchadors on Spotify, and Low Straight Jackets are there, and
Nice.
all. Yeah, he made like an hour of super cool music that unfortunately we can't play on YouTube, but I always put it when I play the game, and it puts you in the right mood right away.
I wrote that down so I can check that out.
Yeah,
Joey,
if you when you get the book or in the PDF, go in the last pages and you see there's a link to the playlist that Joey made.
oh, cool. Okay, I will do so. Yeah, I have a very hard time with PDFs, which is even though I back stuff that has PDFs,
Yeah,
I have this weird dyslexic thing that goes on where I get lost in a PDF, but if I have a physical book, I can
yeah.
keep up with it. It's really bizarre.
Well, I think it's a question of habit. Probably, I use PDFs, but I prefer books. I'll always prefer zines and books. It's the way we learn to read. Is the way I like having physical books also. Uh, Now everybody's telling me I have to start putting hyperlinks and in the index and stuff like that. I have no clue. I have to learn to do that. I know everybody does it nowadays, but for me, I did zines when I was younger, and they were about punk music and sci-fi stories and poetry, urban poetry and stuff like that. And it was photocopied and collage and stuff like that. So I have a kind of old-fashioned way of thinking about the zines, and well, it shows my age, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm
I have to learn how to do those things because everybody's asking for it. But if I have the choice between using a PDF or a zine or a book, I always go for the book. So
yep.
maybe that's why have not learned to do it yet. But I have to. I know.
Yeah, I come from the same camp as you. It's like, I remember growing up, mentioned doing the punk zines
Hmm.
in Portland, which is like a half hour from me, like downtown Portland, Maine. There used
Yeah.
to be a store called Recordland.
Okay.
And when you would go in there, the lady Ruth that owned the store back then had this almost like one of those stands that you'll see at a rest stop with all
Yeah.
the park info and everything in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was always full of punk zines and everything. And that
Yeah.
was how I learned about Minor Threat, was
Oh
through a
yeah.
zine. And I was,
Yeah, I know that. I love those, and also like more of a trashy comics, with gory tales or kind of they had a scratchy look, and they talked about the horror movies and the punk show,
Yeah.
locals, bands and all that. Oh yeah, so that's still defines a bit what I think of when I think of a zine. That's why when I became aware of Joey's zines, and everything was analog, and he was sending them by the mail, and it was for me it was such a blast to go back to
Yeah.
that time, and he included the postcards and photocopied pages, or rip page from a diary or
Mhm.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
or old Polaroid. Not, I loved all of that. I was like, yeah, I kind of miss that, the rough DIY aspect of the zine versus. The now zine has very large definition. Sometimes people say it's a zine because maybe it's a limited edition, or it's a smaller company, or but it's so well produced. Can you still call it a zine? I mean, it's stitch bound, and
Yeah.
there's a bookmark, and it's hardcover, and yeah, well, that's a book in my opinion. Not that I like those. I like pretty books also. I mean, I love both, but for me, zine has kind to be a bit more grungy because the way I grew up. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get where you're coming from. And I'm definitely with you with loving the pretty books. I've got way too many of them. And
Yeah, I love both. I love all books, but the zine is. I think it's fun when people use it in this manner, in a retro manner, like Gabriel Quiroga did with L Night, where he used scissors and glue to do all the layout of the pages, and it gives it a unique vibe already. It's very it adds a lot of character.
that book is awesome.
Oh, he's fucking awesome, and I still haven't played it. I've had it for months. I was I kickstarted it, and I received it, and I've read it through like 3 4 times, and I look at the art, and I want to play it, but I still haven't got time. Well, it's not true, but I DM 3 groups, and we have longer session, and we have a longer campaign. So I want ultimately they're the one that chooses which game we play next. But I really want to play it soon. I'm kind of forever DM. As
I
many of us are, I suspect.
I had been Forever DM, and the group that I play with now, when I actually have the time to play with them and I'm not doing interviews or whatever, we rotate the GM duties.
Oh, that's cool. That's
So,
cool.
like right now, um, my group is playing Blades in the Dark,
Oh,
and then one, I think, this next stint is mine, and I'm going to run Spire.
okay.
And
Yeah, it looks awesome, Spire.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was thinking either Heart or Spire. And then I was like, I'm going with Spire because,
nice.
and
Rotating GM when everybody is comfortable with it, it's a great way to play, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've just been a stinky group member lately because I've missed like the last 2 games.
Oh,
So I've been bad. Like they're playing tonight, and I'm like, sorry guys, I've got an interview. And they're like, oh, that's all right. They're playing because where it's Blades in the Dark, you can come and go. So
Yeah,
It
it's
works
true.
out perfectly.
You can
So
miss a heist and be on the next one. It's not really a problem because a session is a
it's a one shot,
self-contained.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a one shot. It's a series of one shot. I tried to do this more recently when I have bigger groups. It's not for Blades in the Dark, but I try to tell little one shots. So if somebody misses a session and I have five of my six players or four of my five players, we can still play. And next time we're a full group, we just tell the person what they missed, and it doesn't prevent us from playing when somebody's missing. So or have a weird situation where somebody just pops up in the middle of a dungeon,
Yeah.
or and nobody likes when you play their character when they're away. So I try as much as possible to do one shots, small one shots.
Well, it's a good idea because this day and age, everybody's so freaking busy that
Yeah,
it can be difficult, like, to get together with a group and play.
yeah,
Tesley that's in the chat, I used to play with them all the time in this group, Adventures in Arrowknee. And then I started doing interviews. I was out of work because of COVID, so I was able to play
yeah,
a lot more. And
yeah,
now I'm back to working full time, trying to do the RPG thing, the interviews and everything. And it's like, oh, I can't
yeah.
make it. And
Yeah, that's the paradox. The more you get involved in the writing games or doing stuff around the game around RPGs and games, the less time you have to play.
yeah, but
Yeah,
it's what all of us want to do, though.
yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. Oh, of course. And
like,
that's why sometimes when I've got the itch, I play solo. I play solo for many reasons, that also helps me. I can also translate when I play. I don't do journaling games much, and I usually play a little adventure in like 2 hours, self-contained, and then I try another game. So the way I'm able to tell a story in 2 hours for myself, it translates well to after that when I'm the game master for a group, to be able to do the same. To go quickly to the situation, start in the middle of a situation, and move things along fast. And it's also very satisfying for the players because they have lived a whole story in one sitting. So that's kind of fun. Like, oh, what did you do in your session? Oh, well, we shot for 45 minutes, and then we traveled by horse for 2 days, and now we arrived at the dungeon. It's not like that, feels like nothing happened. When you do one shot, you can have a whole situation and resolve it, and it's more exciting.
yeah, and excuse me. One shots are great for introducing new players too.
Absolutely, it's the best
Because
way.
it
Yeah,
doesn't create that awkward situation like you brought up of um, somebody popping up in the middle of a dungeon and then being a new player, feeling uncomfortable joining an existing group uh,
absolutely.
versus just jumping in and playing, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, you look at the way people run games at convention. They have to do a whole adventure in one sitting, so they don't bother with the backstories and how you all meet in the taverns. No, no, yeah, you're gonna go into action real fast, and you know that you have 4 or 5 exciting scenes and a conclusion, and you have 3 hours to do all of that. So
Yeah.
no, there's less time spending time doing boring things or things that are boring to the rest of the table, because yes, let's move things forward.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I tried to, and I think I did okay with it with what I just sent into Drive Through RPG of And thanks, Joey, if you're still out there, for letting me play in your sandbox. Um, but I sent in that WHPA adventure, the
Yeah,
Weird Heroes of Public Access. For those of you that don't know, should check it out. Uh,
absolutely.
Check out Get Haunted Industries on Etsy and grab the WHPA
And soon
rulebook.
on Exalted
And,
Funeral.
and then on Exalted Funeral, that's right.
Yeah, Joey is getting distributed, is getting his stuff sold on the Exalted Funeral. So that's a huge step, and I'm very happy for him.
That is
I'm running a long
badass.
I'm running a long campaign right now with some of my friends. We're at the third session, and I plan on 10 to 12 sessions arc, and they're having a blast, and so am I. It's so fun.
It
It's
is.
super easy to grasp. They instantly get the mood, and the system is super intuitive. And just creating a character is already fun. This is you can tell a game is has a great concept and has a great unique feel when creating a character is fun.
Yeah. Yep. Unlike Traveler that kills you when you're building your character.
Well, it's kind of fun,
It is
but
when you
I know that
die.
it can be frustrating at times. But creating a character in Traveler is almost an adventure in itself,
Yeah.
because sometimes you create an arc, and yeah, the character dies during creation, or you start with a certain concept of what you want them to be, and because of your dice roll, they get it get directed in totally and a different way, and it's kind of fun, but yeah, it can be frustrating
Yeah.
for some people.
I couldn't help but bring that up when you're like, character creation's fun, and it instantly made me think of dying while making a character.
Do you play board games too, or you mainly play RPGs?
Um, I would probably be able to play board games now, and the reason I say that way is I have severe ADHD,
Oh yeah,
and I
okay.
have a very hard time sitting at a table and focusing on a game. It's
Yeah,
like on a board, if it's like narrative and people are talking, I can pay attention.
yeah.
But if I've got like my little piece I'm moving around, I'll zone out and start thinking about, you know, tinfoil that's laying on the floor over here, or
Hmm.
why my dice
Yeah.
spun that way, or
Yeah, so
whatever.
no games that yeah, each person takes 10 minutes thinking about their next move, and you're waiting for your next turn, and your head goes away, and yeah, I
Yep.
understand that. Yeah, there's a game that you can play solo, and it's called I think it's uh, uh, role player, but role like a ROLL.
Yep.
And the whole game is to create a character by rolling dice and trying to optimize some of his skills, but you don't get to play the adventure after. You just get to create the most awesome character you can with your dice roll. So
Nice.
you play you there's a little there's a holes there are punch holes in the character card where you place your dice in a certain manner, and it's all about optimizing and creating the coolest character you can with your dice roll. So that proves that creating a character is fun. There's a whole game that's the concept is just creating a character.
Well, especially since video games now allow you to like basically dress your character from being nude to whatever you want.
Yeah,
Like, that's how I picture character creation now, is like I've got the
yeah.
little I'm scrolling through like, "Yeah, what do I wanna do here? Okay, you're gonna look badass with this."
Yeah.
And
Well, when we were kids, I know for myself, I spent hours creating Dungeons and Dragons characters that I barely get to play, or sometimes I never had a chance to play. I just sit with the books and roll dice and choose skills, feats, or magic powers. And half of the time, I didn't even play them in a game. I just created awesome characters, and and fantasize about what they would do, how they would fare in an adventure, but never get to play.
Yep. um, so you've got another game. We've talked about a little bit about Crime Fighting Luchadores and the
Yeah.
new archetypes coming out and the adventures. But you've got something else coming out that's going down a different avenue than Crime Fighting Luchadores.
Yes, yes. It's another project I had in mind for a certain amount of time, and it's basically again you create the games you want to play. So um, it's a basically I've always loved the Sisters of Battle and in the Warhammer 40K universe, and I was taught that they were one of the most fascinating factions, and also I love all the stuff about the demons and the warp of Warhammer, and it's basically a mix between Event Horizon in a ship that's invaded with demons, and you play a space nun trying to close a hell portal inside the ship that is also your coven. You've lived your whole life inside this space ship that's a coven, and your sisters are in that very dire situation. They're getting butchered, and you're trying to make a room to make your way to a room containing a special relic that has the power to wound and kill demons. And I'm not going to say what that weapon is because it's part of the fun to find out. I want people to be surprised when they find out what it is, and they're probably not gonna make it in the first try. So I'm not gonna say what the relic is, but it's yeah. So one of my friends is drawing the maps as we speak. I've commissioned him with drawing the map, and the system is already written, and the tables and the room description and all that. So it needs more play testing, and also uh, the cover illustration is already commissioned, and I'm quite excited to show it, but it will come after the first expansion to Crime Fighting Luchadores, because I want the people who bought Crime Fighting Luchadores to have adventure modules to start playing. You don't always have time to create to write down your own adventure, and a lot of people like a pre-made adventure or adventure sparks for that reason. So I wanted to rapidly have adventures to play, adventure modules to play, but when this is out, I'm gonna finish the other project.
Nice.
The title for the moment is Hellmouth. Hellmouth. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna say too much about it. The choice of I've hired an illustrator. I've commissioned him the cover, and somebody I've never worked with before, but I have admired for a long time, and I was really happy when he said yes. He's a very awesome illustrator, and I very love the way he draws monsters and demons, and they're super grotesque, and they don't look like muscle bound demons that we often see in fantasy. They really look creepy and grotesque and deformed and menacing, and they have a unique look to them, and that's why. And also, I didn't want the space nuns to look like bimbos, or have bikini armor or something like that. I want them to look like real nuns, and battle ready, and scruffy and mean. I didn't want them to look like uh, sometimes the in fantasy art and sci-fi art, people draws all female characters like supermodels or bimbos, and I didn't want that look. It doesn't fit at all. So yeah. uh, he instantly understood what I was going for, and it clicked.
Nice. I cannot wait because I've always pictured in my head a demon being like this dark, deceptive, weaselly type character,
Yes.
not someone that's going to come up and be like, "Give me my sword," and like, yeah,
No, exactly. So that's why the menace is interesting, when it starts by corrupting your mind, and people slowly lose their mind to chaos or the warp, or whatever you want to call it. And that's what most interesting is, when the slow corruption and the people of slow descent into madness. That's what I think is the most interesting representation of evil.
yeah. Like in when you were saying the slow descent into madness, the movie that popped into my head was The Witch.
Yeah, oh, the witch it was so great.
It is such a good movie, and it's
Yeah, masterpiece for
yeah. I
sure.
mean, was that an A24?
Yeah, pretty sure it was. Yeah,
I
pretty
think
sure
it
it was.
was.
Yeah.
'Cause it even just the music in that,
Mm-hmm.
like, just set the tension, and
Yes.
it's like, 'cause they used one of those, the apprehension engine. Have you ever those things?
Yeah.
I wish I had $10,000 to buy one to play with it, but
Yeah, and what's interesting in The Witch is the moral dilemma you feel, as the viewer, as the spectator, is that we understand her temptation. Her family life is awful. The dynamic in her house as a woman, and as a young girl, is it's awful. And so yeah, of course the temptation makes a lot of sense for her, and it's a freeing act. No wonder she gets seduced.
yeah,
What's the other way around? The sinister part gets in that moment to remind you that no, it's a trick, but it's clever. It's brought in subtly and slowly, and you understand why she succumbs to the temptation,
yep,
because her life sucks in a major way, and her parents are awful, and you despise them as a viewer. You're like, yeah, fuck them.
yeah,
I'd go with the devil in the woods too.
yeah, her dad is such a dick in that
Yeah,
movie, there's
yeah.
no other real way of putting it
But
that
there are certain moments when she loses her little brothers. You're like, oh fuck, yeah, okay, of course. It's not what it appears to be. Is this? It's deception. He's not offering her a gift. He's taking something also.
yeah,
Yeah, you never come on top when you make a deal with the devil.
nope. Not
Nope.
not unless you're playing a fiddle against him. That's about the only way.
Yes, exactly.
Um, so where we're talking about horror, I th I'm pretty sure this was you that mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre was your favorite horror movie.
Yes, yes. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a horror movie I saw probably too young,
Yeah.
and it left quite the impression on me. But unlike many other movies that sometimes you see through rose glasses or pink glasses, you see through nostalgia glasses, and you think, oh yeah, it was awesome, and you look and you rewatch them, and you're like, yeah, okay, I got excited, but it's not that good. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I've watched it. I've watched it over 30 times for sure. I have it at home, different versions of it, and restore all of this. And I've watched documentaries about it and all that stuff. And the making of the movie is as interesting as the movie itself, and it never gets old for me. It's always everything is it's an aggression from the soundtrack is an aggression. You feel for the character. They're super vague characters. They don't we don't care about their background at all. You don't have to know nothing about them to sympathize with them, because what they're experiencing you wouldn't wish on anybody.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we always joke about Franklin. Yeah, he's annoying. He deserves it. But I mean, no, it's just we make stupid jokes. But I mean, you wouldn't wish it. Nobody deserves to be tortured and killed in this way. So you don't need to introduce these characters to feel for them. You feel for them because it's so
It's
awful. It's
horrifying.
oppressing. Yeah, they literally they really come face to face with the madness and horror. And the film was so painful to do. It was boiling hot. It smelled awful in there, because it was it really the feathers and the bones
Mm.
and the chicken bones and all of this. They shot in this place like they found it. There was rotting animal carcasses all over the place, and the actors sometimes they puked, or they felt really bad between the takes, because it was so damn hot, and it was stinky in there, and they were exhausted. So all of that malaise, you feel it as a spectator. You see there the actors were actually super uncomfortable, and super the atmosphere is very oppressing. And of course, today we don't do movies like this. We don't put actors in such awful conditions, and I think it's a good thing. But the result is it gives a very special feel to the film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like you said, that soundtrack, one, it's like
right.
the first real industrial record out there.
Yeah, everybody
And
has told sound bites from the Texas Chainsaw
oh yeah.
Massacre soundtrack, from Marilyn Manson to Skinny Puppy to, I mean, everybody has ripped off the sound at the beginning. That
Yep.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
dude, that gives me the
everybody has.
willies thinking of
Yeah.
that part of that song, that just that
Yes.
and it's like,
Yes, yeah, and it's very expertly done. Also, the camera work is very effective, and it's yeah,
oh, like when she's
I
walking up to the house after he just got dragged into the back,
yeah,
and it's like that weird shot from down around her ankles
yeah,
just sets that weird out of center feeling to everything. And that whole movie is like that. It's just the angles are slightly different to make you feel off. And
absolutely. And Steven Spielberg, he was a huge fan of the camera work in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's why he went to Toby Hooper to do Poltergeist, because he asked him, how do you do this shot and this shot, and he was like, oh, I put my camera on a chair on wheels, and we did the traveling like that, and in this scene, I put the camera on the swing, and I mean, yeah, Steven Spielberg himself, he was impressed with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he worked with Toby Hooper on several projects after that, because he technically the film is for a film that was done for next to nothing, it was very impressive filmmaking.
yeah, like it upset a lot of people.
Oh
And
yeah,
Like, I imagine it being one of those movies that people got up and walked out of because they were
Yeah,
so disturbed by it, because it still messes with me some 40 years later. Like, I own the 40th anniversary edition, which is great with all the extra footage and all that stuff, but it to sit down and watch that whole movie, as much as I love it, is a chore at the same time
absolutely. And
because
you
it
you
just beats you
instantly
up.
get drags. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's not a pleasant. You watch a Freddy movie or Jason movie. I love those also, but it's like you're having a good time. You don't care about the characters. You just look for the kills, and they're badasses, and it's fun and it's cartoony. But there's nothing fun about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. Uh, the first one, the second one is
The
a
second one's
totally
different.
different tone.
Yeah.
I like him. I like it also very much, but it's very different tone. And I think it was a brilliant decision on Toby Hooper's part to do it in such a different way, because you can't replicate the feel of the first one. And if you tried, first of all, you'd miss, and it would be of no interest. So the decision he made to make it a dark comedy and to make it a grand guignol and over the top with these new characters like Chop
Mhm.
Top and the character played by Dennis Hopper is running around with his chainsaw saying "I'm the Lord of the Golden Harvest" and crazy shit like that. It's super funny. So it's also a great film. But the first one is not pleasant. The second one you laughed and it's so over the top that you don't buy it as a true story for a second. It's you're in a weird black comedy, a super dark comedy. But the first one is it has almost no gore, on screen gore,
No,
and
there's no
sometimes
gore.
people that have seen the movie only once, they think, oh yeah, they saw a lot of gore and gutting and all of that. And no, it's not in there. Yeah, you see when people get
Franklin.
sawed.
That's really the
Yeah,
only one that
yeah, and Sally, she gets hooked on the meat cleaver, but it's just she we see her get put on, but the hook doesn't come out of her on the other side, and there's no blood spilling, and it's a and well, there's a lot of cadavers, and the people are messed up, but there's no gore,
no.
almost no gore, but people recall seeing a lot of gore, but it was all in their mind. The same thing with the people that imagine, they describe in Rosemary's Baby, her baby at the end, and they, oh yeah, it was a. No, it's not. It's not that. The only thing messed up about Rosemary's Baby is his eye. The rest is
Yep.
he looks like a normal baby, but people say, "Oh, he had horns, he had hoofs, he had." No, none of that. Your mind did this part. It's an interesting reaction, because it shows that sometimes what you suggest is stronger than what you show,
Yeah.
because you
And
know what a chainsaw does to your human body. You don't need to see it. You just a face reaction of the actor and a shot from the back, just seeing Leatherface shaking his chainsaw is enough. Your brain does the rest.
yeah, you hear that sound and you know what it's going to do. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I couldn't imagine watching them in reverse order, watching two first and then going, "Oh, I guess I'll watch one. That'll be good."
Yeah.
And then you're just like, what am I watching?"
No. And
You're like this through the first one after if you watch two first.
yeah, and also just like Halloween, it's a movie where the soundtrack is crucial to the movie. I once recommended the Texas Chainsaw Massacre to a friend of mine that had never seen it, and she liked horror movies, and she said, "Oh, I don't know what's scary about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've watched the whole thing," and then let slip that she watched it without the sound while doing something else. I like, yeah, of course. If you watch it without the sound, you've missed half the film. The half the film is the soundscape, the noises, the music, the
Mm.
half of the oppression comes from the soundtrack. So you've missed the film. You've not experienced the film. Try
Yeah, that
watching Jaws with no music and tell me how it is. It's not the same.
no. And yeah, like you said with Halloween too, that's another movie that I think a lot of people mistake and there being a lot of gore in.
Yeah,
That they're like, "Oh, it was the first slasher, it's so gory," and it's like, nah, the only blood you really see is when he slashes Laurie's shoulder at the end,
yeah, exactly.
and
It's
that's it.
scary,
Yeah.
but it's not gory. Later, in the series, it becomes more gory. But the first one is not good. It's not gory at all.
Nope.
It's very scary, and the music is a large part of the atmosphere and the scare.
Yep, absolutely, like that, and it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not as much, but Halloween, that's one of those when you hear the theme, you know what it is.
Oh yeah,
And I think for anyone that's ever seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that sound, if you hear that, like if uh, theremin, that's what it's called that they
yeah,
played to
the
do that.
theremin, yeah.
If you hear one of those, you're just like, oh shit, where's Leatherface?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it'd be like having someone walking behind you with a theremin and be like, and it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah. And in real life, Gunnar Hansen, he was such a sweet guy. He had nothing to do with Leatherface, and it was his call to fame, and he embraced it. But he was really a gentle giant. He
Yeah,
had
he was a big
nothing to do.
goober,
Yeah, absolutely.
you
He
know,
seemed
and
like a really nice guy,
yeah,
and he's very funny. Also, when you hear him in interviews talk about his experience, he said they all hate ash brownies before shooting the last scenes, and he was in the woods on cowboy boots that were too big for him, running in the dark with a chainsaw and a mask. He couldn't see shit. He was
Jesus.
tripping and falling all over the place with a running chainsaw. He was the one who was scared.
Hard to
Well,
blame him.
that's called guerrilla filmmaking. Huh? It's
Yeah, but
not the
look what he made, though. I mean, that
yeah,
is such
yeah.
a like, and that's why, like, I've brought him up a couple times, like A24. I love them so much because they've got that grainy look to their movies a lot of the
Hmm.
time, and that just sinister side to their movies. Like,
Yes.
I see them with demons like the ones you described for your game versus like an Orcus. It's just like, "Rrr, here I come."
Yeah. It's a yeah. That's a thing where I think the video game aesthetics has bled too much into role-playing games, and some of it is good. I mean, I love video games, don't get me wrong, but you can do more also in a role-playing game, and sometimes certain aesthetics and certain tropes and the overpowered heroes who drink a 20 health potion in a dungeon, that's Diablo. That's not a role playing game. Yeah, it's all video game tropes, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
Uh, and it's a bit and the way the demons and the monster are represented is very now standardized, and it's very inspired by video games, and it's kind of becoming boring. If you love horrors and you play liminal horror, this game does super interesting things with the way they keep the way the horror seep into the ordinary life, the the ordinary life, and the way that the creature are more evocative and suggested than really depicted, and they're more like a feeling or a way. Their description are kept mostly vague because that's more interesting. Nobody's surprised anymore when you play Call of Cthulhu. It's cool playing Call of Cthulhu, but we all know what a Shoggoth is, and we all know what a Deep One is, and we all know what. As soon as the game master starts to describe what the creature looks like, everybody's like, "Ah, gotcha. Okay, it's a star vampire, or it's that
Yep.
monster, it's a it's a Migo, or it's that this or that." So that kinds of rob the creature of its impact, because they're now like a alien or predator, or this creature that are so ingrained in pop culture that they've lost their impact. They're kind of like a mascot
Yeah.
in a way. Tulu is a plush toys now, and lunch boxes, and all that. I love Tulu, and I love the Lovecraftian mythos, but it's not the best way to create horror or tension anymore. It's more interesting if you come up with creature that the player don't know what to expect, and they have never seen something like this before.
Yeah.
If you're going for horror, if you're going for a different tone, then sure, no problem. I love mummies and lich and all those monsters too. But if you want to go for horror, the creature, the players and their characters have to feel helpless, and they to not know what you're facing, to not know what you're up against. That's a big aspect of it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's like, the saying, the fear of the unknown
Exactly.
is there for a reason. It's like, I would give just about anything to be able to create at the table the atmosphere of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Like, if
Same.
I could ever have anybody like leave my table and like text me when they got home, be like, dude, I've got every light in my house on. That would be like, I'd be like, I did it right.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Which I listened to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre soundtrack today while I was at work. I don't know if I told you this earlier, and I went into our bathroom at work and the lights were out. And I'm like, oh man. So I flipped the lights on and then I walked in and I opened the stall to make sure nothing was in there. And I'm like, all right, I'm safe.
You know it's irrational, but you still feel uneasy. That's we all have the same fears. We all have, that's why liminal space is also super big, because you've been alone at night in an underground parking. You know that nobody feels safe. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
even if
just
you're
the
100% safe,
yeah,
you
but
could
you
have the
still
Secret
feel
Service around you and you're still
yeah.
going to be like, oh, whoa, what's going on here?
Well, because you know that if something was to happen to you here, there, you're helpless. You're on your own. So that's when the fear creeps in. So if something was to happen to me here, I have nowhere to run. I'm helpless.
Yeah.
That's when fear creeps in.
Like you brought up the parking garage, and I'm always one of those guys. I'll be walking if it's late at night, and I'll swear I hear another set of footsteps, and I'll stop just to make sure I don't hear a couple additional steps. Because
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Uh,
just I've watched too many damn horror movies to.
I know, I know, and we get accustomed to gore and makeup, and you know, there's fun in it to be had for sure. I like Dead Alive and these splatter stick movie where the blood and gore is flying everywhere, but it doesn't frighten me. What's frightening is in the thing, not knowing who is infected or not, and the situation where they're isolated and they're all suspecting each other, and you know how horrible that must feel, and they are on their own for sure.
Yeah.
So that's the real fear. The special effects are awesome, but they're disgusting. They're not fear inducing. They're creepy in a way, of course, because it's unnatural, and your eyes, your mind is like, oh, that's something that should not exist. So it's weird, but the fear doesn't come from that. The fear comes from the situation, what these persons are experiencing. You project yourself in their situation, and that's what's scary.
Yeah. Like the thing,
Yeah.
that isolation and of that movie, and they can't go anywhere. It's not the monster that's horrifying to watch. Like the body
No.
horror is like a little whoa, the
Yeah.
first time seeing it, but
Mm,
that
uh,
Ennio Morricone soundtrack mixed
yes.
with Carpenter's directing, and I just lost the special effects designer's name.
Who did Rick? Is it Rick Baker who
Was
did
it Rick
the special,
Baker?
or Stan Winston? I
It
know.
might have been Stan Winston.
Probably Stan Winston.
I'm
Rick
gonna.
Baker did the American Werewolf. Yes, I think it's Stan Winston. Well, I Google it.
That's what I was trying to do, but I don't want to mess up my screens because
Ah, yeah.
ugh, I'm pretty sure it was Stan Winston now that you
Yeah,
say
me
it.
too. Me too. Now that, yeah. Well, that's another thing that we don't really have anymore. Makeup artists and special effects guys, whereas they were superstars, you know. There was Tom Savini, and who Stan Winston and Rick Baker were, and they won Oscar for their makeup and their special effects, and that's something that it doesn't exist really. These
Yeah,
guys
it's little
are,
green dots all over them and all
yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah, and now they're old and they have schools and they teach their craft to younger generation. But when they do practical effects in movies, they dump CGI all over it, them,
Yeah,
and it's crap. Like the prequel to the thing, the guy who made it, he was super disappointed because he made all practical effects because he was paying homage to the thing, and he wanted to have the animatronics and the makeup, and he wanted to keep that aspect of the movie that it works so well, and the producer, they armed CGI all over it, and they fucked the look of his movie, and he was very unhappy about it. Yeah, that's what they do now.
yeah. It's kind of sad, but
Ah, nothing
it's
pisses me off more than seeing CGI blood in a movie. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. You guys can't get sticky and dirty for a movie anymore. What the fuck is that? I
yeah.
mean, Bruce Campbell almost drowned in
Oh
in,
God,
in
yeah,
fake blood. He was head upside down inside a pit, and there was geyser of blood rushing down. Is rushing up his face, up his nose, and he almost drowned in it. And I mean, now you watch what the Walking Dead or things like that, or Creep Show, and they have the fake spurts of blood, the CGI spurts of blood. And come on, why are you doing this? You can't do horror without getting dirty. It's not fun. Everybody out knows how to do fake blood. Do it, okay? They don't be lazy like that. It's insulting.
I
It
agree.
looks fake. It looks fake, and it immediately takes you out of the scene. You know that if I see that it's not blood, I see that blood is not there for real. I immediately lose my. I immediately lose my suspension of disbelief, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching a show, I'm watching TV, I'm watching a movie, and I immediately get taken out of the ambience, the atmosphere of the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon Gingrich chimed in for us and said, Rob, and I'm going to screw the last name up, Botin or Botine was the special makeup effects designer for The Thing.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I've learned something.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
did
know
I.
that. No, okay.
And then Josh L just said nothing beats practical effects. And that is, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen the Mad God, the stop motion movie made by the guy who did what's his name? Well, I'm not, we're forgetting all the names tonight, but
We are.
he's Tippett,
Oh, Phil
Tippett,
Tippett.
Phil Tippett. Yeah.
Yep.
Have you seen his animation movie, Mad God, that was on Shudder for a long time?
Nope. I just wrote it down though, because I love Phil Tippett's work.
Ah,
So
well,
like,
you have to see this. He's worked 30 years on this movie, and it's 95% animation. Sometimes there real there actors thrown in it, but it's all animation, and he worked 30 years on it, and it's such an amazing movie to watch. It's a visual experience like no other, and you look at this, and it can't be replaced. Nothing creates the same effect. I grew up on Harryhausen movies when I was a kid, and I this is that brought me back to that era of Jason and the Argonauts
oh yeah.
the Seven, the Sinbad, and all that. It was magical. Uh, Seeing the giant minotaur and the skeleton rise from the from the ground and all this, and nothing beats that. It,
Have you seen the YouTube video of the guy that went in and sped up the stop motion from like, it was Jason and the Argonauts and all that, and to make it
oh
look
yeah, you
smoother?
made it faster.
Yeah.
No, I've not seen it. No.
He used CGI, which I was like, yeah, about, but it looks so smooth now.
Yeah.
Like compared,
So
how
he
clunky
accelerate.
those skeletons were like,
Yeah,
and they
because of
come up.
course
Yeah.
it's already so much work to do with this at this frame rate. So okay, so he made it move faster. He
Yeah, it's like 8
accelerated the.
times. It's like it goes to natural, like human speed of motion, basically.
Okay, I don't know. I have to check that out.
And it's weird to watch, having grown up watching those movies and knowing
Hmm.
how blocky, I guess you'd say, the
Yeah.
movement was.
Yeah, but at
And
the same time, it's kind of it creates an uneasy feel because they're fantastic creatures and they don't move like us. So I kind of dig it. They move in a weird fashion, but at the same time, we don't know how skeleton moves. Skeletons don't move, so
right.
it makes them feel. Fantastic, out of place. It kind of creates a surreal way of moving. That I got that. That's interesting, but I know what you mean.
And I completely agree with what you're saying, because I wouldn't expect like the statue that comes to life. You don't expect it to move in a fluid motion
No.
because it's made of stone.
Yes.
You expect it to have that like lumbering characteristic to it where
Yeah.
it's made of stone.
Exactly. You
Not
don't
get
see
up and be like,
Godzilla run.
oh, no, you don't see him like power
No,
walking down the
doing
road.
jogging. No, so, he moves slowly because he's a hulking beast. He touches the bottom of the ocean, the ocean, and there's still half of him over the water line. So yeah, he's huge. He moves slowly.
Speaking of Godzilla, have you seen the trailer for -1 Godzilla?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that looks so good.
yeah. That looks very good.
Like,
I love Godzilla.
well, I like that they're kind of putting the Not that the Godzilla movies that we grew up on were terrifying, but they had more of a horror aspect than these, like
Well, especially the first one, the original
yeah.
Godzilla is a horror movie. It's a movie about a nuclear disaster, and it's creepy. There's nothing. Godzilla is not a hero. He's not a protector of the people
No,
like
or the
uh,
environment or anything like that.
no.
He's
It's the result of man madness. He's the result of a nuclear catastrophe, and he's bad news.
yeah, and I love that they're going back to that because, like,
Yeah, he looks mean.
the universal version of him, I was just like, is he really gonna waste his time coming and stomping through San Francisco to save humanity who
No, I
made
don't
him the
think so.
way he is? No.
Yeah.
It's no,
No, it's
he's a
it's
monster.
re- yeah, it's kind of weird that well, they don't know what they did. I don't like the way they treated this character and what they did with him. So I'm very excited about the -1 also.
All right. So Josh is actually Deuterino from the Neon Lords Road
Oh
Chud
yeah,
stream. And he actually just chimed in and said, today is Godzilla Day, which I did not know.
neither did I.
And Tesla said we should check out Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. He
Yeah,
said
the
it's
trailer looked really fun. I haven't seen it yet. Is it out?
he said it's about to come out to streaming platforms.
Yeah, I've seen it that it played in festivals and the reaction people who saw it really dig it, but I haven't seen it, but I really mean to.
Yeah. I haven't even seen the trailer. I've been so dang busy with everything that I've got.
Yeah,
Like, if I manage to sit and watch anything, it's usually like a 10-minute YouTube video that I'll get to watch to
yeah.
and
I
it's you
listen to a lot of podcasts while working because I can listen to music and podcast while waiting because most of the time I'm just looking at books or reordering books or so I can listen to music. So I listen to a lot of podcasts and actual plays and all that, but movies not as much as I used to. That's for sure.
know, I listen to a lot of soundtracks as for
Oh
like
yeah, me too.
orchestral soundtracks just
Yeah,
because
me too.
even if I don't know the movie, usually the music in a movie, just the imagery it creates in my head. Like,
Yes.
one of the game I shared with you that I'm working on the other night, I listened to the soundtrack
Mm-hmm.
of the particular film that I mimicked that after the whole time I was writing it.
Yeah, and
And
orchestral music is good also because when you're writing, you don't want to hear lyrics or hear singing because it interferes with your own thinking. So orchestral music or music, instrumental music is better, at least for me.
yep,
Because if I know a song and it plays, I sing it in my head and it mess up my own writing. So I usually prefer instrumental music for writing.
I find if I listen to music with lyrics while I'm writing, I'll start typing or writing what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
it'll be
it
like
interferes with you.
like when I'm listen if I'm listening to Cypress Hill while I'm writing, I just start writing hits from the bong, or something like that.
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
like, no, that's not what I wanted to write.
Absolutely.
So Tesla said that Onyx the Fortuitous is in his top 5 favorite movies.
Oh, that's
So
a
that's
high
gotta be
praise.
good, yeah. And then Deuterino said, I've never heard of Godzilla Day before, but I saw it on Facebook earlier and looked it up, and apparently it's a real thing.
Oh, it sure is. Godzilla is it's a cultural thing. It's very important in Japanese culture. It's one of their icons for sure, and just not for Japanese, but especially in Japan. It's of course there are Godzilla fans all over the world, but I'm not surprised that there's a Godzilla Day. You
No,
know.
I'm not either, really. And then May just said video game soundtracks are so good too nowadays, and
Oh
that is
yeah,
true. Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, absolutely true.
Silent Hill music is great. Doom music is great. Mass Effect. I love the soundtrack to Mass Effect. I listen to this a lot. There's so much. There's so much. But Silent Hill is very creepy. I love Silent Hill soundtracks.
I like the soundtracks. To hell with the games. Those things creep me the hell out, man. Like
Oh, they're scary. The first ones, 3, 4, up to 3, 4, they were so well done. Yeah,
that
they're actually
siren.
very.
Oh,
Yes, yes, it's so effective. And another movie that sometimes, another game that sometimes I had to put down because I was getting too stressed playing is Dead Space. Yeah,
I've
I
never
played
played
that.
that.
I played Dead Space at night, with headphones while my girlfriend was sleeping in the next room, and I didn't want to wake her up, so I put headphones on, and all the little noises around the spaceship, and every time you come near a ventilation duct or something, there's a big chance that something's gonna jump on you, and the visuals were creepy, but all the little sound effects were so creepy, and the jump scares you. Sometimes you literally jump from your seat and you're like, okay, I'm gonna take a break from from that level. My heart is racing, like I'm getting too involved and this. It's getting too stressful, but really good. It's very fun,
I'm
but
gonna have to check it
sometimes
out.
yeah, Dead Space is awesome. Then the creatures in that are very weird, very grotesque. There's like parts cadaver rearranged in weird fashion, and they are really grotesque to look at, and they're really fucked up.
Like Cronenberg level or
Oh yeah,
yeah, nice.
yeah, and very reminiscent also of the Thing. Yeah, baby
Nice.
heads on spider legs, and upside down baby legs on spider legs, and things like that with extra limbs, and weird face that split in half, and the teeth where they don't belong. And yeah, they were the creature design in the Dead Space were really creepy. And they did new how they say it, um, well they actualized all the graphics and all the sound and all this. They did the new edition if you want, and I haven't played it yet, but it looks very creepy.
Hmm. Tesla said the animated movie for Deep Space is also, or
Hmm.
Dead Space
Yes,
is also really
absolutely.
good.
Yeah, I wish they did more. It's a feature film. There was only one, but the animation style was really well done, and it was creepy. And I would have watched more. I wish they did more of in that style.
I've got to check it out. There's
Yeah,
no
you're gonna
question
love it.
to it. Yeah, Tesla also said Dead Space is so much fun, so scary, always brings a constant state of fear and anxiety.
Hmm.
Elevators aren't even safe.
No, no, and the monsters in deep space also, you can't kill them in the usual fashion, if I can say like that. You have to dismember, so you have to cut off their head and all of their limbs. So every time so if you just chop off their head, they're gonna come back, and they're gonna. So you have to dismember all of them. So it's very grisly. It's very
Wow.
you attack them in very gruesome fashion, and and also there's zero G rooms in the game, so these scenes are super creepy because you hear the monsters all around you, but you don't know which side is up, which side is down, and you're floating in zero G, so where is it coming from, and you're looking all around you trying to locate the danger, and they jump at you. The zero G rooms are very scary and very disorienting. everything. It's well done.
It sounds like a game that will make me yell at the
Oh,
TV.
you will. You will. That's why I said sometimes you need to take a break because they get very stressful, at least for me.
That is
But
too
they're
funny.
fun. They're super fun.
So we are coming up on 2 hours, my friend. Why don't we take a quick, like 5 to 10 minutes, and when we come
Yes.
back, we can build a Crime Fighting Luchadores character.
That sounds like an awesome plan.
All right. Well, we will be back in about, let's say 10 minutes, just so we
Sure.
can
Yeah.
grab a snack and whatever. And folks, we'll see you in 10, and we'll be building a Crime Fighting Luchadores character.
Hell yeah.
All right. We'll be
All
back.
right. Back in 10 minutes.
And welcome back, folks. So, we were talking horror movies and all that before, and now we're going to jump in a different direction. We are going to build my character for a playtest of the upcoming Crime Fighting Luchador adventures. So, we're going to see if this actually works. This is my first time trying to do an additional screen with everything showing. So, you'll have to bear with us if it doesn't work, because we'll have to
Yeah.
figure out an alternative. But I'm going to push a button here, and hopefully you'll be able to hear us and see everything just like you are now. All right. Can everybody hear me? Give it a second here and let. Yep. All right. And it looks like we are good to go, my friend. All right. So I have got it pulled up. I showed you what it looked like before we went
Yeah.
live, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know how it looks. And you're familiar with the character sheet, obviously.
Yes. Yes, I am.
So what is before I pick a name,
hmm
I know we're going with everybody having a different archetype.
Yes.
Um,
I think it's more fun if everybody has a different archetype. And there's 12s, and we have five. I have 5 players, so there's enough for everybody to have a different archetype, and variety is fun in a team.
all right. So what is the human tornado still open? Or is that taken?
The human tornado is taken
Okay.
by a player who his character is named El Blorto, and he's inspired by the luchador character created by Charles Burns. I don't know if you're familiar with the comic, the graphic novels. There's a graphic novels by Charles Burns, featuring luchador detective, and well, he based his character on that.
I am writing that one down because it was Charles who that wrote it?
Charles Burns.
Burns.
Yeah, I think you'll dig it. So the archetypes that are already taken, there's already a human tornado, there's a beast, and there's a medic. So all the others are open.
All right.
So
So
you have the choice between the star, the swave, the mentor, the super spy, the spook, the sleuth, the mariachi, or the brute.
hmm.
You want me to go over their special abilities and what their type means?
Well, I would have said yes until I just noticed that the super spy
Mhm.
has a zip line with him.
Oh yeah,
So,
and also a vehicle of their choice,
ooh. So I
and
could
a
I could
vial.
be El Santo, like
You can be
basically.
El Santo. You have also a vial of truth serum and a lock picking kit, so that's pretty handy.
I think I'm going super spy, my friend.
Yeah, that's a good
All
choice. The
right.
super spy is awesome.
All right. So
So
that
you
is
have X-ray goggles as assets, a vehicle of your choice. So it could be a motorbike, could be a car, of course. It could be anything, a submarine, a small plane,
ooh.
an helicopter, whatever you fancy.
Oh, helicopter. That's a great idea.
That's cool. Helicopter is cool. I think so.
Especially
And you
having a
also,
zip line, because then I can zip down from the helicopter.
there you go. That's very Batman. After yes, and on top of the zip line, you also have a vial of truth serum and a lock picking kit.
All right.
So also for the people who listen and haven't got the chance to look at the actual book, Evelyn, she draw a different mask for each of the luchador archetypes, and they are very cool.
They are very cool.
Yeah,
I
I
will
was
have to
so
share. Is there a way I could share a link? I could share a
uh,
link to the Drive Through
if you,
RPG page or something, but I was trying to think to show
yes,
him the masks.
yes, or the Kickstarter page as I know that the Kickstarter page has all the masks in one of the updates. Uh, so yeah, or
Oh, perfect.
yeah.
I'll share that, and I'll share everything else, and yeah.
I have if you want I can send you the only these pages so you can show your viewers
Cool, that would be
with
awesome.
all the different archetype mask. Not a
That would
problem.
that would be
And
fantastic.
okay, and so that was what. So what you noted down is what was specific to your archetype. Now, what everybody gets. So what everybody gets is 10 vitality points. So vitality points are basically your hit points. But while I was writing the game, there was all this stuff going on with Wizards of the Coast revoking their license, then giving it back to the people to use again. And I was kind of frilly about the idea of using hit points. So I named it vitality points, but it's basically the same thing. But it represents your physical health, but also your combativity, your will to continue fighting. Because no luchadors die in Crime Fighting Luchadores, nor do the villains, because it's a serial. So what kind of serial would we have if every time the Joker if the Joker died the first time Batman beat him, and that's not fun. The supervillains have to come back, and heroes sometimes lose or get beaten down, but they always come get back with a vengeance.
They
So
do.
no, nobody dies in Crime Fighting Luchadors, and also no luchadors can't use firearms. They sell or they make all their fight by wrestling.
Yeah,
I know that some people will say that Santo uses guns, even a flamethrower in some movies. I'm aware of that, but I decided to make it a rule to resolve all combat with wrestling because it's more fun, it's more original. A lot of RPGs have guns and firearms in them, but I think it would be more interesting if luchadors don't believe in gun. They resolve their problems in the ring.
yeah, and they are the weapon.
Exactly.
It's
So I made it a rule.
excellent.
After on top of the 10 vitality points, you also have 3 stamina points. So stamina points are an indicator of how many times you can use your special moves. Every time you use a special move, you lose a certain amount of stamina points. And when you deplete your stamina points, if you want to use a super move again, then you lose vitality points because you exhaust yourself. So some characters start with more stamina points than others, and super move cost more stamina points than others. But start at the start of the game when at character creation, all the super move cost only 1 stamina points, and you regain the 1 stamina point after each fight. And
All
also,
right.
you can't use the same special move more than once per combat to keep combat more interesting. You can't keep using the same move over and over. Where it's not Punch Out, it's not a Street Fighter. You have to vary your tactics and use a different approach to your combat.
That makes me see Piranha from that old NES wrestling game
Oh yeah.
where he would do that bite, and when you would play against the kid that played Piranha, that's all you would have done to you the whole fight. Is that
Yeah.
chomp, 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 and then
When you play the Street Fighters against that kid, you do super combo moves, and he would just do the low kick and
yeah.
and kick you in the knees over and over and over
Yep, and
again.
your guy's just going doo 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 across the screen.
So to avoid that, and also to make it more cinematographic, you can't use the same the main super move more than once per fight. Also have 1d3 hero points. So this is rolled at the start of every episode. So you have 1d3 of those hero points. And what do hero points are used? What do they do? They add an extra dice to dice roll of your choice. So when you're attempting an action that you really don't want to mess up, that you really want to succeed because it seems important, you can use one of your hero points. You can never spend more than one at a time. You never roll more than 3 dice, but for that special occasion, you can spend one of your hero points to roll 3d6 and add them up for an action instead of the usual 2d6. So hero points are very precious and very useful in that manner.
I love this dice system.
And also, like we said earlier, you get a hero point when you roll double sixes. When you get a critical hit, you've been awesome, and you gain a hero point.
Nice. All right. So am I rolling hero points or am I waiting until the 18th?
No, I'll roll it.
All right.
It's gonna,
So
I'm pretty sure the other I've done it.
I got one.
I trust my players. I don't see the fun in cheating. If you play with people that you can't trust, you have a problem. I do as little dice rolling myself as a referee as possible. I prefer having the players rolling dice while I think about my next scene, or while I decide what's gonna come next, and think about creating the story and the narrative, and have the players roll dice. They love it. They have fun. And when I have to roll dice, sometimes I even do. I even let the players roll for damage themselves. And like, okay, the monster hit you for a D12. Roll it. So if you hit a 12, you can't blame me. You roll it yourself.
I got
I
one
still
hero point.
Okay, so you got 1 hero point, and after that you have 1d6 resolve points.
All right.
So resolve points are another type of currency, and how do they work is they act a bit like luck points in some other RPG systems. So you can suppose you make a dice roll, and you're short 3 points to succeed. You can spend 3 resolve points to make it a success. But once they're spent, you don't get. There's no way to get more in games. You have to wait till the next episode.
Okay.
Okay, so and that the resolve points, you can spend more than one. You can spend them. You can spend as much as you need to succeed a particular dice roll that you would have failed otherwise.
All
Right?
right. Yep.
And some character classes have more, some character archetypes have more resolve points, or have more hero points. So that's that can be adjusted, that can be modulated by the archetype you're playing.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay, and you have one ally. So the ally, I will go to the allies page. Roll a d20 for your ally. And
All right.
if you really don't like it, or you think it doesn't fit with your character or the concept you have in mind, of course, it's a game. You can roll again, and we'll pick something that better fits your the the backstory you had in mind.
I got an 18.
18 is a taxi driver.
Oh, nice.
Taxi driver, I think it's pretty cool. He works late, he works at night, he goes around the city, he hears a lot of things. Sometimes people in the cab don't realize they're being loud, or they say things, or maybe sometimes they're drunk, or they tell tales that they might not have told otherwise. So taxi driver is a good ally to have, I think.
Yeah, like you said, they're like secret ears almost because no one really thinks about the cabbie
Yeah.
listening to what's being said. So,
Exactly. And maybe that's up to you, but maybe the taxi driver knows you're a vigilante, and he sees crime all the time and he's disgusted by it, and he wants to do something about it, but he can't. But he knows you're a super luchador, a crime fighting luchador, and he wants to help in this manner. Or maybe he doesn't. He just likes to gossip, and that's useful to you. That's up to you
ooh,
to
I like the idea of him being like the guy in the chair,
yeah,
of like my cue almost.
yeah,
He
yeah,
pops open his trunk and there's some more assets in there that he's like, "Hey, what do you need?"
yeah. That's very cool. I think maybe like Travis Bickle and a taxi driver, but instead of going crazy and going on a killing spree, he has another way to vent out. He knows a guy who's a superhero and who can right the wrongs he see all the time.
Yep, I like it.
Yeah, that's cool. After that, you have a dot in the skill of your choice. So the three basic skills,
Hmm.
as we said earlier, are muscles, acrobatics, or brains. So you get an extra dot you get a dot in one of those.
I'm thinking acrobatics.
That's a great choice. So when you roll for acrobatics, you will add a +1 to your dice roll,
Cool.
as simple as that. And also having one in acrobatics will give you another special move. Everybody has one special move at the start of the game, and because you have a point in acrobatics, you will get a second one.
Ooh, neat.
So that means that you can, if you have a very tough fight, yeah, as I said earlier, you can't repeat the same special move in the same fight, but you have two, so you could use two special moves in the same fight because it's not
Nice.
the same.
I like it.
And you have an asset. So asset, as we talked earlier, can be uh, gear or something useful to you as a weapon, something that to help protect you, something to
Hmm.
help you investigate, or something that gives you an advantage on in some form or another. And there are 30, so you roll a d10 and a d20 and you add them up.
All right.
Well, in fact, they are 29.
24.
So I cheated a bit. I said earlier that you only use 2d6 while playing, but you need actually 3d6, and you will use a polyhedral dice, but only on the random table, on the generator table, not in
Gotcha.
game. So you got 24.
24. So I got a tiki bar.
You got a tiki bar at your. Oh, okay. I want to hang out with you. That's cool. Okay. Tiki bar means that your HQ will feature a tiki bar with, when you go to your HQ, you recuperate lost vitality points twice as fast.
Nice.
So when you rest at your HQ, you usually recuperate, I think, 1d3 lost vitality points in game. Uh, that that that's double for you and your teammates because you have a tiki bar in your HQ.
Excellent. I
And who
like it.
doesn't like to hang around in a tiki bar?
All right.
You
Wow.
can't take a long rest in this game because time is a factor. You're always racing against the clock. You don't want the super beast, the evil mastermind, to plans to come to fruition. So you're always, so you can't take long rest during an investigation. If you take a long rest, then the episode is you have lost the episode and you go on another adventure next time. But for you, you will heal much faster when you go to your safe house. So that's very good.
Excellent. All right.
Okay, and after the asset, you have a special move. So I know that you're a wrestling fan, so you probably know special moves already. But if you want inspiration, there's a table with 1d20 special moves, and you get two. So maybe roll twice or
Yeah.
pick one and roll one as you like.
I got a 9 and a 17.
Okay, 9. It gives you a Cobra Clutch Slam.
Nice.
The wrestler lifts the opponent into the air by their neck before jumping backwards to drive the opponent back first down to the mat while remaining standing, failing forward, or dropping into a seated or kneeling position. So that's quite acrobatic.
It is.
And the second one was 14?
17.
17. Okay, 17 is Spine Buster.
Mm.
Ooh, that's vicious. The attacker hooks the opponents around the head with their legs, spins around, and throws. No, I'm not reading the good entry. Sorry. The wrestler starts by lacing their opponent and then grabs them around their waist, lifts them up, and then either slams the opponent down while landing on top of them or tosses them forward onto their back.
Nice.
So that's good. And so that's it. You have created a character. There are other things, of course, that you will have to generate with the rest of your team, because in Crime Fighting Luchadores, your luchadors are all part of a team, and team get a headquarter. So there are 12 different headquarters and more coming up in the supplement book, and the headquarters is there for flavor, but also it's interesting in narratively, and you also get to choose as a team the name of your team and your Royal Rumble move. The Royal Rumble move being that super team move where everybody is involved, and
Mm.
that you can use once per session per investigation, once per episode. So, so that's really fun. You have to decide this with your team, of course.
Nice.
Uh, so yeah, there are tables to help you come up with luchador name and luchador team name. But do you want to name your character yourself, or do you want to use the table as inspiration,
What
or
if
a mix of both?
what if we let someone in the chat name him?
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Well, if you guys out there and ladies want to chime in with some names, and we'll see what we've got to work with and see what we really like, and we'll pick one of them.
So we've got a super spy with a lot of high-tech gadgets and a cab driver friend. He knows two special moves, and he hangs out in a tiki bar. So yeah, some of these things could be reflected in your name for sure.
Man, this guy sounds like he would be part of Los Straitjackets.
Absolutely. And also, I forget to mention that the character sheet was hand drawn by Evelyn, who did the artwork, and I asked her to leave it blank. So if people want to color their mask and put
Oh, neat.
use crayons or marker or whatever to color the mask, and they can put their favorite color to help them imagine what their luchador mask looked like.
Nice. I forgot before we went back on air. Um, meant to put this on.
Oh,
I'll have to wear it on the 18th for our game.
absolutely.
So,
I'll remind you if you forget.
all right. All right. So, no one has chimed in with a name yet, surprisingly.
Mm.
So, let me see. Ooh, Simon Gingras signs in with Inspector Gadzetto.
Oh, I like it. I
I
like
like
it.
that
Yeah.
too. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, yeah. It's totally in the spirit of pop culture that we like so much. So yeah,
yep, we've got a
he's
name, I
got
think.
something. And maybe you're wearing a trench coat with all your gadget hidden in the secret pockets and secret pouch.
That's great. I open my shirt and there's a fist that comes out and punches out of my shirt.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
All right. All right. So I am going to hop us back over to the other screen where this is completed. And then I can save this without it taking up the whole screen. There we go. Perfect. This is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. So, oh, well, I don't know about you, my friend, but I am getting tired.
So am I.
And
I
I know
had
we've
a
both,
very
you've had a
I
long
have a
week.
yeah, I've had a long week, and I've had a lot of fun, but I'm getting tired too. But I'm really excited to play with you, and thank you for having me on the show. I had a lot of fun. I hope I answered some of your question, but it was very free form, but
Yeah,
I had fun.
I had a blast. So, and I've actually gotten so I like doing the freeform stuff more because I feel like one, it's more relaxing, it's less robotic for me, and all
Absolutely,
of that. So,
yeah,
all right. Well, Simon, Tesley, Deuterino, and everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. Joey and MC Franklin, thank you for joining us.
yeah.
And was our pleasure to share. MC Franklin said, thanks for sharing. So, yeah, you folks have a great night. And tomorrow morning, or not tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, I am interviewing Tommy Sunzenhauer. He's got a really cool game on Kickstarter right now called Obscure that is
Oh yeah,
based
that looks
on the found
very good.
footage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a game that could get really creepy
Yeah.
if you use if you use it correctly. I think that it could be a really cool way to create weird and unsettling situation. I was looking. I'm very interested in this game. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would
I
be a
am
cool
too.
interview for sure.
I'm very excited. And then tomorrow night at 7, I am interviewing Trevor Stamper about his current Kickstarter, Tales from the Smoking Worm, number 9. And oh boy, I'm going to screw this next. It's 2 zines and it's Monographs, Volume 2, number 1. That's
Okay.
what it is. So,
Yeah. So two great guests.
yeah. So if anyone can tune in, I gladly invite you to. I love chatting with you guys. And Martin, thank you so much for joining me. I had a blast as well.
Thank
And
you very much for having me. It was super fun.
my pleasure. And we'll have to do it again.
Absolutely.